We're gonna get this thing started right away, being that I started a little late. Once again, thank you for your patience. Want to welcome back to the platform. I always tell y'all, I cannot go deep in this UFO thing. I cannot go deep into the whole alien thing without acknowledging the what the Nation of Islam has done for not only our community but for the entire world when it comes to this field of study. So one of the brothers that's out there holding it down, doing what he do, giving up the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, and the rest of them. Want to welcome back student minister Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Welcome back, my brother.
Man, I'm so honored every time I get your call and the invite to join you on your platform. It's always an honor, brother Radiohead Rich. You do great work. I will never not salute you for the responsible use, your responsible use of this very powerful platform that you have. One of the more powerful ones out there, and you use it very responsibly, and I salute you for that. There's not a lot of craziness the way you moderate your conversations. I will always salute you. Whatever your particular ideological space is, you not only open your space to the spectrum of black thought, but how you handle each and every one of us. While we on your show, you make us believe that you're a believer.
Oh man.
Just because of the spirit
Right, yeah.
and how you handle the diversity of black thought. And that's very rare, brother Radio Rich. Everybody has their ideological knives out on these platforms. But
Wow.
I haven't
Damn.
sensed that from you, not only when I'm on your platform, but watching you with others on your platform. So that's really a signature of yours, and it's a great attribute of yours.
Means a lot coming from you, my brother. So I definitely appreciate it. And
Appreciate you.
as always, you have a lot of interesting things you be on Instagram talking about, and I'm like, oh,
Here we
I
go
gotta,
again.
I gotta get Dr. Wesley back on there. So all right, you were talking about a phrase that you used that was very interesting was the architects of an alien hoax. And I wish I could find the picture, but you had one of black folks' white heroes, Bill Cooper up there, William Cooper.
Absolutely.
I said, Wesley, you come he woke a lot of us up. He woke a lot of us up. I said,
I
oh,
got to hold a pale horse, and you know what? That I really so well that we should center that image. How um can we pull that image up?
yeah, yeah. I should are you putting it up? And then for
So
me to share?
so so I have it. So do do present. Is that how I should
I
do
think
it?
so. On your end, I think so.
All
And then
right.
I should see it on my end.
All right. Well, we're gonna do this. Hold on, because this is indeed an important.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us behold the pale horse. Let me pull up while Dr. Wesley gets that together. Let me just some of you are young, some of y'all a little older.
Do you see that?
Let me see. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And okay, let me put this on the stage right now. So William Cooper, Officer Naval Intelligence Briefing Team. So this is the all right, all right. I'm gonna let you explain it, but okay, go ahead, Wes, because I'm hyped. So I'm talking about I'm hyped, but go ahead, Wesley. Explain what this is right here.
Yes, sir. So the Mirage Men. These are the Mirage Men, and you know what?
Hmm.
Let me. I should, if we're gonna, because this is one of a set of slides.
Okay.
Since I can upload them so easily, it seems. We're gonna let's upload the rest.
Let's go for it, brother. Let's go for it.
Because
I'm
it's
here
three
for
slides, so
it.
we'll walk through them.
Oh man. Uh, King Simon, do me a favor, King. King Simon's in the chat. I'm sending you some info from Dr. Wesley that I would like for you to share in the chat. All right. I'm texting it to you right now. Instead of putting his Instagram, could you put this information that I just shared with you, King Simon? Thank you, my brother. Go ahead, Dr. Wesley.
Yeah, and so we got these, this one, and two more. Then we're gonna get into them.
All right. Come on. Come on. Come on.
This one,
And let me while Dr. Wesley
one
gets
more.
that, let me just show you something real quick. This is the book that changed a lot of people's life. That's why I was like, oh, I can't wait to have this discussion with Dr. Wesley because I want to know how William Cooper was in on it, knowingly or unknowingly. But a lot of people were familiar with this book,
Knowingly.
and oh wow, oh, yeah. So a lot of people were familiar with this book in the early 2000s, late 90s. Behold the Pale Horse. So I just wanted to show that book for y'all real quick. All right, let's put this back on the screen. All right, so let's go, Dr. Wesley. Come on, my brother.
So now that's one more, but we can start here. As you see, this says phase two. I have a slide that depicts phase one of this governmental
Is that
disinformation. Nope, I didn't put it up there
okay? Okay.
yet. So we're gonna start with phase two because we want to get right into William Cooper. Phase one of the disinformation operation of the U.S. government, which it must be stated,
Mm-hmm.
we have been documenting, we have been making the case that the extraterrestrial hypothesis
Mm-hmm.
of the UFO phenomenon is not
Mm-hmm.
just it's not just wrong, it's government disinformation. We have been making the case. We made the case. We were making the case in our book, Chariots of the Black Gods, the UFO Reality, and the Alien Hoax. On the several times we were honored to be on your show, Brother Rich, we
Mm-hmm.
were making the case. Now the case has been made that the alien myth is government disinformation. And last month, the Wall Street Journal published an important report validating and confirming the case that we made. The government's intelligence services at the root of alien myth that is so popular in the US and around the world. So we're going to get, I would like us to look at this very important Wall Street Journal report that validated the case that we've been making and have successfully made that the US government is at the root of the popular alien extraterrestrial narrative. Now, the government, the government's involvement in propagating alien myth, the government's disinformation operation really transpired in two distinct phases. The first phase began right after that baby plane, that so-called UFO, intentionally crash landed in Roswell, New Mexico on July 4th, 1947. And the Roswell airfield personnel They not only retrieved wreckage from that crash, but they retrieved bodies,
Mm.
black bodies. At that point, this government came face to face with the reality of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told them in person in 1942 when they arrested him. Since July 1947, this government has known firsthand that the beings and the power behind the UFO phenomenon is black humanity. The government began its disinformation operation soon thereafter. That disinformation operation, the US government took two tracks. It ran along two parallel tracks. When I say government, let me specify. The CIA, which it was just established in 1947, shortly after the Roswell crash, the CIA was established. The disinformation operation followed two tracks. The CIA and the Air Force were the primary agencies prosecuting this disinformation operation. The two tracks were: one, debunk sightings, make the public believe that there is nothing to this UFO thing, that anything you see is just a meteor or a balloon. Debunk the sightings. That's one track. The same agencies simultaneously followed a similar track. This track they did not.
Imagine being able to build anything, for any reason, in any style, at any scale. Just
Debunk the sightings. They confirmed the sightings, but embellished the whole UFO narrative with an extraterrestrial alien cover. So these are the two tracks that the US government has been pursuing, disinformation tracks, since those Roswell bodies were scooped up from the desert in 1947. So the first phase involved Walt Disney.
Mm.
Walt Disney, the man, was both a CIA and an FBI asset.
Mm.
So the US government turned to Walt Disney
Mm-hmm.
to make the whole UFO issue look ridiculous, look cartoonish. The second phase, which is our interest tonight, began in 1971. It can be said to have begun in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
The US Air, but it really kickstarted in the 80s. And the Wall Street Journal does a good job in pointing the chronology of this disinformation operation out. What in the middle, the primary persons responsible for the second phase of the US government's disinformation operation was the man in the middle up top, Richard Doty,
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Air Force Special Office of Investigations. He is the one that's responsible for spreading most of the signature myths of ufology. The whole reptilian narrative, Project Serpo, most of the signature myths of ufology today, the U.S. Air Force spread through their agent, Richard Doty. He began his work in the 80s. William Cooper of the Office of Naval Intelligence I too had the original uncensored Behold a Pale Horse, and it was important to my development as well. But even then, not knowing all of this, when I read the section, see, William Cooper absolutely in the book Behold a Pale Horse, there was truth in that book, but there was great misinformation in that book, and that is a protocol of deception. That man on the bottom, middle, Walter Bosley, also an Air Force Special Office of Investigation special agent who is tasked with causing confusion among the UFO crowd. He laid out the protocols of deception that were used. And he says specifically, in order to make a big lie sell, it has to be joined by some explosive truth. So a protocol of deception requires that some, not just casual truth, but some sexy truth, if you will, be presented, and it's conjoined with the lie that you want the people to swallow. That perfectly characterizes Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. The Office of Naval Intelligence in the 80s was conscripted into this disinformation operation. The Office of Naval Intelligence is very important in terms of this narrative. And William Cooper from the Office of Naval Intelligence, in his section, his JFK material, William Greer did not turn around and shoot JFK. That was so ridiculous. But in addition, he is the one that pushed in Behold a Pale Horse, in the appendix, the Majestic 12 documents that are in there that introduced to most of us this idea of EBEs. That's what they call the aliens. That's an early name for the grays. EBEs. William Cooper popularized the Majestic 12 documents that go into detail about the government being in possession of this alien, this EBE alien, who likes strawberry ice cream. Well, the Majestic 12 documents that you and I read in Behold a Pale Horse, that man next to him, Richard Doty, fabricated those documents. Those were fraudulent by his own admission. Those were fraudulent documents. John Lear, CIA contract pilot, he too became very famous in ufology. J. Allen Hynek, one of the biggest ufologists in the history of the study. He's the one represented in Steven Spielberg's movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. J. Allen Hynek was on the payroll of the U.S. Air Force, and when he was doing ufology, and he participated in deliberately spreading misinformation. So these are and why are they called Mirage Men? Because what began in 1971 was Operation Mirage. This is what this leg of the disinformation operation was called Operation Mirage. These agents created a mirage, made the UFO believing people see something that is not there. These are the mirage men. Now, let's go to the second slide. These are the marks. These are the UFO researchers who the mirage men targeted. They pressed up on these UFO researchers and fed them disinformation. One of the most classic and telling cases is Bill Moore. Bill Moore was one of the most important UFO researchers. He wrote one of the first books on Roswell, the Roswell incident. He was a good UFO researcher. And then he became a traitor. He got turned. And so while he was growing and influencing, having the greatest influence on the course of ufology, the thinking of the UFO narrative, he was the mark of Richard Doty. Richard Doty was feeding him fraudulent information, and he was knowingly, Bill Moore was knowingly acting as a spy for the Air Force Office of Special Investigation. And in a very dramatic moment in 2005, at a MUFON conference, Bill Moore mounted the rostrum and outed himself and confessed to his role in spreading UFO disinformation. And a very important thing that he confessed to spreading, one of the signatures of government-spawned UFO myth is this whole reptilian narrative. I know y'all love David Icke, but the whole reptilian narrative originated as government disinformation, because before the government made the Roswell bodies grays, in 1948, the government was trying to make the Roswell bodies reptilian. This was the first disinformation they put out regarding the black bodies that they recovered in Roswell. Instead of acknowledging that they are black Asiatics, they pushed the narrative that they were reptilian green. That was the first myth before the government course corrected and went into the business of the grays. But these individuals right here are the marks, the mirage men targeted. And each one of these individuals has had a very significant impact on ufology, on alien myth. Whoever studies ufology, you recognize all of these people. These are the people who the mirage men, the agents, the government agents of disinformation, they fed their material to these individuals, and these individuals wrote books for us, made movies for us in the case of Steven Spielberg and Robert Emmanuel. Now, so from the mirage men, the government agents of information, including Bill Cooper,
Concentrate fire on the target. Enemy battleships.
and John Lear, here are the marks those who received the disinformation and passed it on. And from this process, we get, let's go to the next slide. This is the mirage. The disinformation that was propagated by the mirage men or fed by the mirage men to the marks. The mirage, the myth, is the myth of the Nordic and tall white aliens, the myth of the Greys or EBEs, and the myth of the reptilians. The Greys, reptilian, Nordic narrative, that did not just evolve organically. This is the mirage. This is the product of the mirage men. And again, going back to William Cooper, it was William Cooper in Behold a Pale Horse who popularized EBEs. And he did so by making available to us the fabricated Majestic 12 document of U.S. Air Force Special Agent Richard Doty fabricated. Now, go to the next slide, please. These are some of the mirage. These are some of the documents, if you will, for the mirage. That 1974 film, UFOs Past, Present, and Future. The 1977 film of Spielberg, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. There's the Majestic 12 document, the fabricated Majestic 12 document that William Cooper made available to us in his role as an Office of Naval Intelligence, man. And then there's Project Serpo. All of these are the direct fruit of the agents of disinformation, the mirage men whom we identified, working through the marks to spread the mirage. These are documents of that process.
Dr. Wesley, I want to ask you real quick. I mean, brilliant. I mean, somebody in the chat said you ain't playing. You came with pictures and names and all that.
That's all I know how to do it.
Indeed.
I don't know how to do it the other way. That don't have facts. I don't know how to do the non-fact way of teaching. I don't know how to do that.
I want to ask you, in terms of the marks and in terms of the Mirage Man and the agents of disinformation, Dr. Wesley, I'm going to play devil's advocate. And I'm going to say, hey, you mentioned David Icke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm doing such a great job being a disinformation agent, Dr. Wesley, I want to ask you, why would David Icke be banned in certain countries? You ban people in certain countries that are teaching you, that are waking the people up. So we assume. So why would he get banned if he's such this disinformation agent? I don't even think he's allowed on YouTube at this point, Dr. Wesley.
Well, there are multiple answers to that. But first, let me clarify. I don't have David Icke on any of these images. Mm-hmm. I mentioned David Icke because he is, he really goes hard on the reptilian narrative. Mm-hmm. I don't know David Icke's affiliations. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's a Mirage man. I don't know that. He could very well be. I know he's one of the world's leading propagators of the myth, but so many of us are, not because we are affiliated, but because we bought into the Mirage. And he is among the more successful ones who has bought into and is propagating elements of the Mirage. So I'm not saying David Icke is a Mirage man. He may very well be, but that's not the point I'm making. But the fact that governments around the world are censoring him that does not say anything for or against him being a Mirage man, because few people, while in operation, few people know that you are a government agent of disruption.
Mhm.
So the general public will treat you according to how you triggered them. And if governments don't want David Icke, if governments don't like what he is selling and the effect that it's having on the local communities, they will censor him, and it will have nothing to do that does not say anything one way or the other in terms of who David Icke is affiliated with back in the States.
Mhm.
The classic example is William Cooper. Now, understand. So, and let me even spread it. So, when let me be more specific. Whenever I speak on the Malcolm X murder and the conspiracy behind it, and we mention and document that the main shooter, the shotgun shooter, William Bradley, was an FBI government asset. Some people say, well, that doesn't make sense because he ended up going to jail. If he was a government asset, how did he spend time in jail? But everyone who has studied in covert operations knows that that's exactly how it goes. Most government intelligence assets in America,
Mhm.
while they are serving the CIA, for example, in whatever capacity, the CIA allows them to participate in, not only allows them to participate in criminal activity, but encourages them and enables them to participate in criminal activity, because now the agency has further control over that asset. If that asset ever goes left, they can call them to the carpet on this criminal activity. So almost all of the big name assets did time. Noriega of Panama,
Mm.
he was a US CIA asset,
Mm.
dealing drugs as a CIA asset. But then he ended up in a US prison for selling drugs. That's how it happens.
So like, what would a modern example be? Diddy? What we see happening with Diddy?
Well, I don't know. So you see, whenever I spoke on the Diddy case, I always made it clear that I'm not speaking on Diddy in terms of criminality. Diddy's low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
I focused on the network behind Diddy. Now, that's a fact. We know the network behind Diddy. So the things that Diddy did do and acknowledged doing, while it's not criminal, but I focus on the cultural crimes
Okay.
that weaponized hip hop
Okay.
has committed against our people. So I cannot speak. I'm waiting to see more in terms of how the Diddy case unfolds before I speak on Diddy in terms of criminality. But coming back to the Mirage Men,
Mhm.
William Cooper was killed.
Right.
Well,
Right.
see, that doesn't mean he wasn't an asset. He absolutely were. They were in the history of U.S. covert operations. There were many assets that not only ended up in jail, but ended up dead, ended up suicided.
Mhm.
So Bill Cooper, he was.
This game, you're not ready for it.
in the middle of this beautiful sci-fi environment. And you're seeing intrigue, the espionage, the alliances form, the power that just shifts around. And it's amazing to watch.
This is primary, Julia, secondary.
He was a company man until he wasn't. He fell out with the company and ended up dead. But that does not, and I have not done a deep dive on his death, but he absolutely is a mirage man. And through Behold a Pale Horse, he popularized the fabricated version of the Majestic 12 documents that's centered on these EBEs. That's your boy, Bill Cooper.
Have you seen the movie Interstellar?
I did. I seen so many. I know I saw it. Which one is that?
I wouldn't know. Well, basically, he went in outer space, and time changed where he was at, and he had a daughter here. He told his daughter he was going on this mission, and where did he go, yo? They'll tell me in the chat. But by the time he made it back down to Earth, he didn't age, and his daughter was an old woman, and he told her he would come back, and he came back, and she was on a hospital bed, and she was like, "I knew you would always come back to me." You remember that one, right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Wesley, based upon your information on the UFO, the black pilots, and the misinformation with extraterrestrials, is it possible that these black pilots are from a past civilization that may have been extremely advanced, that maybe they went somewhere just like Interstellar, where time is totally different from what it is in this realm? So we continue to age, and Earth continues to go on, and year after year after year. But wherever they at, they didn't age. So when they come back into this atmosphere, this dimension, or whatever you want to call it, they're like, "Oh shit, what happened? Damn, they don't even recognize us. They think we aliens. They think we X. What the fuck? We this is our home too." And they're like, "Yo, we your family," but we don't recognize them because time went by so fast for us and it slowed down for them. What's your thoughts on that being a possibility?
Well, it's a nice idea, but the witnesses that saw those bodies at Roswell, they recognized them for what they are. Black Asiatic humans, men. The people, the culture, the civilization behind this technology. I'm partial to a new term that the study of ufology is putting out there. It's closer to the truth of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad than other concepts. And that term and concept is crypto-terrestrial. They're not extraterrestrial. They are the civilization. These people are crypto-terrestrial. Crypto, of course, cryptography, sending a hidden message. Crypto-terrestrials are people on Earth, but hidden in stealth from everyday people. They're human, but they are a human civilization of great power. That absolutely is correctly describes the culture behind this phenomenon. So, going back to the Roswell bodies, the witnesses, there's 3 key descriptions given of the bodies. they were human. They were men. This is like they're men. They're not alien. They're men. They're human. They're people. Nothing about them struck these witnesses as off planet. They're men. What distinguished them, that made them say, well, they're not normal, is simply because their eyes were bigger, a little bigger, and their head was a little bigger. And they were short, they were small. Other than that, they were completely human. But the characteristic of how they looked, they were men, human, but their eyes were Asian. They were almond-like eyes. They were a little bigger than normal, but they looked like Asians. In fact, one of the witnesses used a language, they looked like ancient Chinese. So these are humans, purely human, and purely Asiatic looking in their facial features. The third characteristic of these Asiatic looking, purely human bodies is that they had black skin. These are black humans that look Asian. So this is an Asiatic culture, a terrestrial Asiatic culture, but it's a culture that has existed in stealth, meaning the average Joe or Jane doesn't encounter this people, because with the coming on the planet of an enemy of God, the divine knowledge of God has been sequestered. The divine wisdom of God has been hidden. And the cultural custodians of the divine wisdom of God have sequestered themselves as well. So these are earthly, terrestrial cultures, but advanced and sequestered terrestrial cultures, black cultures. And one more point, because we just want to make this phenomenon off planet. We try so many ways to make this a reality other than black people on earth. So this culture, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, and as there is a lot of empirical data that suggests it, this culture, through this technology, absolutely can travel anywhere in the universe that they desire. The black man created the solar system because the black man is God. The black man of earth is God. And he put life on all 9 planets, and the black man of earth is the God of all life in the universe. That is something that even us black people just don't want to swallow. So even us black people rather defer to they can be black, but they can't be black on earth. They got to be black from Saturn. They got to be black from anywhere else but Chicago, Illinois. But they ain't from Chicago, Illinois. Not this culture, but it's from earth. And so the fact of the matter is, Brother Rich, there are pockets of black civilization that have been sequestered, hidden away for the last 6,000 years. Absolutely.
Dr. Wesley, what exactly did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tell them in 1942? What, if you could tell me everything to the T about what he told them about aliens and UFOs, what did he tell them that got them so scared?
Okay, well, of course I can't tell you us everything to the T. I'm not privy to that. What we are privy to is in May 1942, the FBI arrested the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Of course, America was involved in World War II. In February of that year, 1942, America came face to face with the mother plane, the wheel, and the baby planes, the so-called Battle of LA. America came face to face with the might of God. America shot at the mothership. The mothership did not shoot back. That was February 1942. May, the FBI arrested the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Washington, D.C. to get him off the streets, teaching what he was teaching. He was, and I'm answering your question, I'm laying the background too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a comprehensive understanding of what he said to the government.
Mm-hmm.
And what we can say, what we know about what he said. He was released in July. He went to Chicago and resumed teaching about the will. In September, the FBI rearrested the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, what we have in the FBI file during the September 42 arrest, the FBI, we know the FBI questioned the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, this time specifically on the mother will. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave them a statement on the mother will, and that statement is in the FBI's file on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we can read the statement that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave to the FBI in September 1942 upon the second arrest. In that statement, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that the blueprints for this wheel have been in Mecca for thousands of years. But the blueprints were turned over to Japan, with whom America was engaged in a war. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to the FBI that the mothership was built in Japan based on, or Nippon, based on the blueprints that was handed over to Japan from Mecca. He told them that the mothership is one ship and it has a fleet of baby planes. He told them that their mission is the destruction of America. He told them, and remember, they picked him back up because after his arrest in May, he's released in July. He comes to Chicago. He's still teaching. And in the newspaper, he's Golem Bogans. They write about him in the newspaper at the time as Golem Bogans. And they emphasize how he is teaching from his temples that this mother wheel with its Japanese pilots is going to destroy America. that the pilots are Muslim. They're Asiatic and they're Muslim. He's teaching this in the temples, and the newspapers are writing about it. So they rearrest him in September.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells them the origin of.
So last night he used him.
Honestly, nothing better than when a guy breaks this out.
He details the origin, when it was built. They also, when they arrested him in September, at the temple, he had, because he was in the habit of drawing the mothership. When they arrested him in September, they confiscated a drawing of the mothership, and they questioned him on the mothership and the drawing. So by the latest September 1942, they had heard from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that what had appeared on the West Coast in February 1942 that so frightened President Roosevelt and the U.S. Army, that big ship and the little silver ships, the FBI and thus the U.S. government by September had heard from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that these are Asiatic Muslims, black Muslims flying them, that the blueprints for the craft originated in Mecca and was given to Japan to construct, and they constructed it. And so this is why, or this played a major role in why America dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, hoping to smoke out the civilization that built that craft.
Wow, so many different directions I could go. I'm glad you detailed that exactly, that story of what Elijah told them when he got arrested. Let me ask you this: when you said the blueprint was put together in Mecca, just want to ask you, Dr. Wesley, do you think these wars that we see taking place in the so-called Middle East, that it seems like it has been going on forever, do you think that has anything to do with the presence or anything about a mothership being in that area?
Oh, well, the mothership, I'm not going to say the wars are triggered by the presence of the mothership in the area, but there is a connection. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had a vision in which he saw the Kaaba in Mecca being destroyed brick by brick. And the one who destroyed the Kaaba was a black former slave. Now, why do I cite that in response to your question? Arabia is the home of the black gods. That's our land. But Arabia, black Arabia, has not been black for thousands of years now. Arabia is going to be cleansed. The whole Middle East is in the process of being cleansed with blood. So all of the wars that are taking place in the Middle East, yeah, Allah, God has a lot to do with that.
So let me get this straight, Wesley. So you're saying that the whole reptilian thing is misinformation, disinformation?
Yes.
Are you saying that,
as it relates to UFOs? Absolutely.
yeah, in terms of the UFOs, are you saying that there's no white extraterrestrial presence out there, or there's no extraterrestrials outside of these black shadowy figures that people keep referring to?
Yeah. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered the first part of your question very specifically. We didn't put any white people on any other planet. There are absolutely no white people. There are absolutely are no white extraterrestrials. There's no white people. In fact, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said Allah would not allow them. He would not put them on other planets. So no, there are no white extraterrestrials. That's pure white supremacist myth.
And there's no green ones either. So the whole
So there are creatures that we don't know about. I would not dare say that there's no possibility of any type of creature when you talk about the deep sea is that area that has been least explored by the West.
mm-hmm.
Space, I've heard, has even been explored to a greater degree by the white man than the deep sea is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get me to say there's no reptilian creatures,
mm-hmm.
and then tomorrow pop up from the deep sea some creatures. There are creatures on this earth that Allah has created that we are not familiar with. So my argument isn't against the existence of or non-existence of any creatures. We're talking about what is the truth of the UFO phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we can say for certainty is ain't no reptilians flying the baby planes, flying UFOs. That we know, and we can trace how reptilians were associated with the UFO phenomenon. That is what we are tracing. But Allah said, according to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that Allah is going to create some creatures to send terror into the heart of people. And I'm sure already in existence, there are creatures that we have no clue about, that if we were to encounter them, they would terrify us. Now, because we have not encountered them before, we would think that, well, they had to have come from another planet, because we don't realize that there are areas on this planet. This is Allah's planet. This is the black man's planet. We let the enemy have and build his world on a large portion of our planet, but there's portions on our planet that has been restricted,
Off limits,
off limits to him.
Woo! Shit.
Just like in space. So when some of the realities of those off limit but terrestrial areas, when some of those realities impinge upon our reality, we think that they originated off planet. No. They originated on parts of the planet, like this culture did, originated on parts of the planet that have been off limits to the white man for 6,000 years.
Would you say Antarctica is one of those places that's off limit to him?
Well, I don't know the extent, because now there's something about off Antarctica. I don't know how off limits Antarctica is, because whites have gone to Antarctica. But are there off limit portions of that land? I suspect so, yes.
Hey, Dr. Wesley, did Malcolm ever touch on this subject at all? Malcolm X?
On what subject?
UFOs, the whole UFO thing.
The mother will?
Yeah.
I assume so. So I'm thinking about, he has a famous lecture, History of the Black Man, which he gave when he was Minister Malcolm X. And he details the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it's a very great lecture, actually. I don't recall whether in that particular lecture, and if he were, I would assume it would be in that lecture, but I can't recall right now if he mentions the mothership. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think these, these ships, whether it's the baby ships or the great mothership, is this currently disarming nuclear weapons right now as we speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Disarming and arming. They are hovering, they are concentrating their time and energies over the most highly restricted airspaces and military installations, not just of America, but around the world. And showing this world that their weaponry is totally defenseless against them, which is why I radically disagree with Dr. Stephen Greer.
In terms of what?
Dr. Stephen Greer advances the theory that extraterrestrials are worried that when America tested the bomb, the Trinity bomb, when Oppenheimer set off Trinity, that first nuclear bomb, that extraterrestrial civilizations took note of it and, fearful of the implications of it, have been coming to the planet, and they are fearful of what humans can do with atomic weapons. That is so not true. The people, the culture behind this technology, not only are they not fearful of nuclear weapons in the hands of this people, they are showing that they control the codes, whether they control the codes for America's nuclear armament, they control the codes for Russia's nuclear armament. They've actually triggered, put in the codes, triggered the weapons, and then shut them down at the last minute. But in my book, in addition to that, Brother Rich, in my book, I document that the atomic weapon that the West has is a gift of the gods. We allowed them and we helped them acquire this knowledge. We helped them split the atom. Germany, when Germany split the atom before the Americans did. See, the fire of the gods that they are playing with, we gave it to them. The 1933, the Manhattan Project that resulted in America's atomic bomb, as we learned from important documents that have been declassified, at the root of the Manhattan Project and the development of America's atomic bomb, at the root of that is America Germany and Italy's study of the baby plane that was first given to the enemy in 1933 in Italy. Roswell was not the first recovery. The first recovery was in Italy in 1933. Benito Mussolini, the Italian dictator, had possession of it. He alerted Pope Pius XII. Due to his alliance with Germany, Hitler was brought in, and so the study of that 1933 craft is at the root of the so-called Nazi UFOs. It is not that the UFOs of popular lore go back to Nazi flying saucers or wingless craft. It's the opposite. The whole Nazi super weapons development originated from the alliance that Germany had with Italy in the study of the craft that they had possession of in 1933. Now, as whistleblower David Grush and others have revealed, America got possession of this craft at the close of World War I. And they studied it, and they studied the atomic qualities of the craft. This is what set the West on the road to the atomic bomb. And declassified documents revealed that President Roosevelt acknowledges that the Manhattan Project is indebted to the atomic studies of this so-called, this recovered UFO craft. UFO. It then crash is what one of the documents called a hand-me-down. It was handed to Italy in 1933. Whereas
the divine kamikaze that you refer to?
That's 1947.
Okay.
That's Roswell. That was a crash, but a deliberate crash, the divine kamikaze. And there's no evidence, it appears, that the 1933 recovery, the craft landed. It didn't crash, it landed, and it gave itself over to the Italian government. And that was the first vehicle that they studied, and that allowed them to crack the secrets of the atom, that put them on the road to cracking the secrets of the atom. So we knew, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it's prophesied in the Quran that Allah will allow his enemy to pierce the veil of the secrets. Allah will allow, before he destroys his enemy, he will give him a peek into the secrets of life. Everything that the enemy lusted after, Allah will allow him a peek into it before he destroys him. That's what happened. That's what we're looking at with the atomic bomb and nuclear weapons. And the baby planes concentrate on nuclear facilities. They're not just hanging out. They are demonstrating that there is no nuclear facility on this planet that is outside of the control of the powers on this craft. So all of the bombs that America has, she won't be able to deploy it against God, because God has all of not just America's codes, Russia's codes, everyone's codes. Allah has them. He got that.
Mm-hmm. What was Farad Muhammad on any of these ships, or what is his role in in 1933 or 1942, all of these ships that landed or crashed?
He's the architect of the mother craft. Now understand, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the FBI in September 1942, he said blueprints for this craft have been in Mecca for thousands of years, the circular craft.
Mm.
This isn't, we black people have been flying circular craft like this for thousands of years. And in fact, trillions of years. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the mountains on the earth were produced by our scientists flying in similar type craft and dropping bombs. Bombs that drilled in the earth and shot up debris, forming mountains. This has been going on for a long time. So we've had and have been flying in circular craft for a long time. But so this is why there have been blueprints in Mecca for thousands of years. But the distinction of this craft, the mother wheel right now, is unlike anything that has flown in the skies previously. It's a masterpiece of mechanics, of technology that is attributed to Master Fard Muhammad. So when we say he's the architect of this craft, yeah, there were circular craft before him, but his supreme mind was put on the blueprint and took it to a level that has never been achieved technologically before in history. So that's his role. This is his ship. He's the captain of this ship. And so the divine kamikaze, if you will, that gave himself up in Roswell, New Mexico, he was a subordinate. He was operating under orders.
You know, I hear you talk about Farad Muhammad a lot, and all the magnificent things he has done. I want to know, what do you think about when you hear names? Because you got a book talking about the Anunnaki. By the way, before we continue, family, make sure you support when there's a brother out there doing this level of in-depth research. It's extremely important that we support the brother, even if you don't agree with him 1,000%. We're never going to agree with anybody 1,000%. But the brother's out there doing exceptional research. Exceptional research. Make sure you support the brother on Cash App or PayPal. The brother's Cash App is $ Dr. Wesley, and his PayPal is Dr. Wesley Muhammad at gmail.com. The brother has several books that he put out that we're gonna have to do a book review on sometime soon on this show. But the brother, he's serious with it. We may have a conversation tonight, and he may have a book out a month from now, based on the conversation. Wesley's a scholar. So it's important that we support scholars so they continue to do the research, they could travel, and they can expand their research and do what they got to do so that we could continue to discover who we are. All right? Cash App and PayPal. The brother King Simon is sharing it in the chat constantly throughout the show. But please, family, make sure you show them the support. Appreciate y'all who already sent them something. I was talking to you about Farad Muhammad, and I'm curious because you mentioned how he engineered the ship. I'm thinking about somebody's name in antiquity that gets brought up, who they talked about was here civilization after civilization after civilization, and his name goes by many names: Jehuti, Tahuti, Thoth, Hermes. Shit, some people say he was Enoch. There's different names from him. What's your thoughts on these names in ancient times, Tahuti, in comparison to who these names such as Farad Muhammad? Like, what's your thoughts on their any connection between them two?
So, to answer that, I'm going to have to give a broad answer.
Mhm.
And it may tax some of our audience patience, but nuance is important to me.
Yeah.
God is in the details and truth resides in nuance. So,
Yeah.
what do I think of people like Tahuti, Enoch? So, in my book, The Book of God, an encyclopedia of proof, this one right here, an encyclopedia of proof that the black man is God. One thing I show, I'm an historian of religion. I've studied the ancient religions across the world. Religious, that's my academic training.
Right.
And I understand the religious literature of the ancient world, whether it's from Kemet, whether it's from Sumeria, whether it's from ancient India, whether it's from Mesoamerica, the religious literature and the religious figures in them. In some cases, they were historical figures, but in many cases, they weren't historical figures. They were prophetic types, types with names and characteristics and description. And eventually, a living human
What?
will fulfill that prophetic type. But
Right.
in their day, they weren't individual humans. I believe Imhotep, the scientist, was a living human. Do I believe Jehuti was a living human? Not necessarily. But that doesn't mean that Jehuti or Tahuti was myth. No. The sacred literature of the black man and woman of antiquity, it wasn't just it's either historical reality or it's fiction. That's not how we wrote history. In fact, we wrote history in advance. So most of the records that the West has uncovered from us, we make an error going to the records thinking we're reading the past. When most of those records were written, they were written for the future.
Right.
So that's how I have to answer. Do I believe Tahuti is a fiction? No. Do I believe he walked the Nile Valley in a physical existence? Not necessarily. And many of the personages of our religious literature around the world, I would say the same thing. There are some historical figures, but much of what we read, they weren't historical at the time these records were written.
Do you think Fraud Muhammad is the embodiment of any of these ancient gods that we read about in the literature books?
I believe he's the greatest of all of the gods that have preceded him. He is absolutely the fulfillment of many of the personages that have been written of in the sacred literature. For example, I write about Rudra Kalkrin. Rudra Kalkrin was the messianic figure of ancient India. Rudra Kalkrin, it means the wrathful one with the wheel. The wheel, Rudra Kalkrin, is the messianic figure that was prophesied to come at the end of time after a new barbarian race had ruled the world with tyranny for so long. In Shambhala, Agartha, Shambhala, I know you're familiar with that. That's one of those secluded places, right? Those sequestered locations. The culture of Shambhala is a crypto-terrestrial culture,
Right. Okay.
you would say.
Indeed.
The kings of this sequestered culture wrote about one who will come at the end of time, and his signature will be a weapon, a wheel that will slice the enemy, the barbarian people up, and then restore on the earth a righteous kingdom. Ruja Kalkrin, the wrathful one with the wheel. The wheel is the ship, the wheel is the mother wheel. That's an example of a personage that, and we can go across the board and see where Master Fard Muhammad absolutely fulfills the personages that have been written of in the religious literature across the world.
Indeed. I want to get we're about to hit the hour and a half mark. I want to get to some questions from the family.
And I don't want to leave without just
Hold up.
reading the Wall Street Journal or
Please.
citing the significance
Yeah, please do.
of the Wall Street Journal report, because it validates what we have been saying on this issue. Again, June 2025, last month, the Wall Street Journal published this article, this report. The report is entitled "The Pentagon Disinformation That Fueled America's UFO Mythology." The Pentagon's disinformation that fueled America's UFO mythology. In this report, based on a 2024 Department of Defense analysis led by the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, ARO, the Pentagon's UFO Studying Office, based on a 2024 report produced on ARO, this investigation found that for decades, the Pentagon deliberately fueled popular alien conspiracy theories and spawned a number of foundational UFO myths. This investigation even cites Sean Kirkpatrick, ARO's first director, who confessed that many popular alien conspiracy theories can be traced to disinformation efforts initiated by the Pentagon in 1980. In quote, what amounted to the U.S. government targeting its own citizens with disinformation, end quote. This investigation found that the Pentagon was guilty of doing these things. I'm going to read off the list that this investigation found that the Pentagon participated in. 1, the Pentagon fabricated UFO and alien narratives and spread them. 2, the Pentagon doctored UFO photos and planted them in local communities. 3, the Pentagon spread false documents, such as the Majestic 12 documents the intelligence officer William Cooper gave us in Behold the Pale Horse. 4, the Pentagon staged briefings at the Pentagon about UFOs and aliens. These were staged briefings. 5, this report revealed that alien myths were, quote, intentionally stoked to mislead the public and foreign adversaries, end quote. 7. The Pentagon allowed alien myths to take root, listen to this, quote, in the interest of national security. The Pentagon determined that it has a national security interest in making the American public believe in aliens. We can unpack that. We understand why. And then finally, 7 or 8, the Pentagon staged Pentagon briefings with Air Force commanders and military personnel about a classified alien investigation program called Yankee Blue, which studied extraterrestrial craft in U.S. possession, except Yankee Blue was fictional, though the Pentagon subjected commanders and military personnel to these Yankee Blue briefings, but it was all fake. It was all fiction.
Mm.
According to this Wall Street Journal report, the Pentagon's purpose in spreading fake alien stories was to camouflage top secret research and protect classified weapons systems. It was a CC&D operation. CC&D is camouflage, concealment, and deception, but we show that that's only part of the reason for this government disinformation operation. They not only want to conceal classified weapon systems, they want to conceal the true powers or beings behind these craft that are violating American airspace with impunity. They rather the public believe they are Venetian, Nordics, tall whites from Venus. They rather the public believe that than believe that the mind and the culture and the people at the root of this UFO phenomenon are Black people.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Wesley, these areas that you said is off limit to them, do you think it's off limit to all of us? Like, do you think everybody does not have access to these places, or
Are you asking, can you and I go ring a doorbell and be invited in for some tea?
hey man, what you think? Are we off limits as well, Doctor Wesley?
Oh, absolutely, but not for eternity, not in principle.
Yeah.
The whole point is for us. We are the inheritors of those lost lands. That's our. We will be bequeathed, Shambhala, if you will. Mm-hmm. We will be bequeathed the New Jerusalem. That is for us. Mm-hmm. But we have to get ourselves to the proper state to walk through those doors. In our current state, no. We can ring the doorbell, it won't be answered. But it is for us to walk through, but we have to get ourselves to the state where we can walk in and not pollute that atmosphere, because we're polluted. We are polluted with the American atmosphere. We are polluted by this world's atmosphere. So we have to undergo a cleansing so we don't bring the white man's pollution into the new world.
All right, let's get to some questions. Like I said, man, family, this was a very good talk. A very good talk by Dr. Wesley. Give me some questions in the chat. Shout out to Young Elder. Young Elder, I want to get you on here too on one show soon. I actually got your number from Rod to talk about some of the extraterrestrial stuff. Give me some questions from the family. Let me see. Somebody says stranger at the Pentagon, Valiant Thor. Was that a psyop or real?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a psyop.
Mhm.
Oh, so the whole Nordic narrative. We won't dive deep right now. Well, I'm not gonna go there tonight if I can't follow it up. The whole Nordic narrative is fabrication. And so Valiant Thor, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordic alien, that absolutely is psyop. They replaced the short Asiatic black men with tall, blonde, white men and women. Whenever you see the Nordic narrative,